Well, hey guys, welcome back. Probably a fairly short video this time around, at least not as long as some of my typical 20 to 30 minute long videos, but this is a very special revolver that I wanted to share. It's something I've been wanting to do for a long time, but I kept thinking, well, I'll save it for, some special thing. But then I realized anytime I bring it out is a special thing, because it itself is the special thing. So it's a Smith & Wesson 38 Special, and it's a model 15-3 to be exact. But what makes it special to me, not necessarily to you, is that it's a family heirloom of sorts. This was my late uncle's sidearm, and he was in the Navy, and he carried this. It's my understanding that he carried this on duty in some capacity in the Navy. That may be totally wrong. It's just something I heard. It's probably unlikely that you can even carry your own personal weapon on duty, but maybe you can. I don't know. Who knows? They wear bell bottoms and they can grow beards, so who knows? It's the Navy. But anyway, regardless of that, this was my uncle's gun. He took extremely good care of everything he owned. The man built his own house by himself, and not a small house. He loved to work on cars, any kind of machinery. He was just one of those. He was just one of those guys. A generation long gone, I think, for the most part. So he obviously made some changes to this revolver. Some of which I can tell, and some of which I maybe can't even tell. But it has a really nice adjustable rear sight, which I believe was stock to the gun. But it's got an incredible hammer spur on it. I mean, this thing is just off the hook. And I don't know whether or not that is a stock part. If it is a stock part, it had to be, an accessory, an option. And the same thing goes with this trigger. This trigger shoe is just incredible. It's as wide as the hammer spur. I'll show you guys some close-up photos of this. Absolutely phenomenal. And the feel of it is fantastic. And where I know it definitely had some TLC was in the trigger pull. The trigger pull, double action, is just so smooth, so very smooth. It's fairly light at under 9.5 pounds for the double action pull, but it's the smoothness more than anything. And the single action is like, somewhere around the 3.5 pound range. It's just super light and crisp. The other thing that makes this revolver particularly special, again, to me and to my family, not necessarily to you, but the grips that you see, or the stocks if you prefer, on this gun are wood. They are handmade, and they were handmade by my dad. So my dad, my uncle's brother, made him a set of custom stocks for his gun. My dad loved to work with wood. He loved to whittle. And he loved to work with leather too, so you can almost see that he kind of treated this wood like he would a piece of leather, and put a nice pattern on it. But he loved to whittle stuff. Like when he was in Vietnam, he would sit with a knife and whittle this incredibly intricate stuff. And I don't know whatever happened to it. It's probably long gone. But what we do still have is the really nice wood stocks on this revolver. One of the things that I really like is this huge, right here on the thumb side for the right-handed shooter, which everybody in our family is, there's this wonderful cutout for the thumb. It's like, more pronounced than you're going to see in almost any kind of an aftermarket grip. So it acts as a thumb rest, and also just allows you, access to the cylinder release real easy and all that. So it's just, more than anything, this is really a family pride kind of thing. And it's a Smith & Wesson revolver, so you can't go wrong there. I absolutely love Smith & Wesson revolvers. You guys probably pretty familiar with that. So without further ado, I'm going to throw 6 rounds in here and shoot it for the very first time. Did I mention that? This will be the very first time that I'm shooting this gun. Like I say, it is it's kind of the property of the family, I want to say. Not necessarily my personal property, but the property of the family. It is in my care at the moment, but I have never shot it, and I've had it for quite a while. So I thought it was high time that I do that. So very first time me putting rounds down range with this family heirloom 38 Special. Okay, I know it's a little hard to see much detail on that steel target downrange because that is, it's pretty faded. It's been sitting in the sun unused for a while. That is the very last of the pink paint that you've seen for so long on the channel. So I thought I might as well use it up. All right, so I took a template and have painted a target onto the target. So in black now we have a place to aim. You can see from all the black overspray around it, I'm not exactly much of a paint artist. But it does make it a little easier to see my hits, I think, maybe. Gives me something to aim at anyway. That target, by the way, before I failed to mention it, provided to the channel years ago by TA Targets. I love their targets. Their steel targets are, in my opinion, second to none. And I've had that one forever. And it just goes and goes and goes. All right, so double action. Let's see how I can do. My double action is not as good as it once was. I just don't do it enough. It looks like it's hitting high. I can't tell. Well, I don't have the luxury that you have of the picture-in-a-picture target view, so I'm going to go down and look and see how I did. All right, well, I saw 2 good hits close to center, and I think the rest of them were a little bit high. So I'm going to try single action, because that's usually where I do a little bit better. Especially with this gun, I would think the single action is just so crisp. All right, now I'm gonna go down and take a look at those. Okay, how's that look? Better, right? So I painted the target face white. The pink is gone forever now. Unless they come back with it for some other special thing. But anyway, it's gone. And then I put the black target on there. So now I've got a good aim point and a fresh start so we can see where the hits are. So I'm gonna go single action again. I just want to see, because you know, the sights may be off. You know, who knows? I don't even know the last time my uncle would have shot this gun. You know, it could very well be decades since this gun was shot. Definitely high, huh? Is that me? No, not me. All right, well, I don't know, it looked like one was kind of centered, but the other 5 are in a group up top, so I'm gonna have to go with the group, obviously. I'm probably not gonna mess with it today, but in the future, it would be worth adjusting that rear sight a little bit to bring that group down. But boy, what a beautiful, beautiful polished nickel finish on this gun. It's just such a joy to look at, number one, but it feels so good in the hand, you know. That old Smith K-frame, God, I love it. It just feels so natural in my hand, and for good reason, because that's where I started out. But wow, what a nice feeling gun. I love the grips that my dad made for it. And this hammer spur and trigger are fantastic. What a lot of fun. All right, I changed my mind. I made a little adjustment to the rear sight, and I'm going to see if I can bring that group down a little bit, at least closer. Because I'm only about 15 yards away, so it should definitely be closer than that. Okay, looks like it did bring it down some, so that's pretty good. I could probably tweak it a little bit more. Okay, another half a turn. Let's see how I do. Okay, that looks like it brought it right down to where I want it. So knowing my uncle, he probably had this thing sighted in at like 50 yards, maybe 30, 35, something like that. I'm half that distance, so that would account for why the groups were high, I think, more than anything. Okay, one last time, now that I've got it pretty well sighted in for this distance, I'm going to go ahead and do double action just to see if I really suck that bad, or maybe it was just, because the sights were off, right? So I could just leave it and blame the sights and say, well, clearly the sights were off, and that's why my double action group was, so far off center, thereby creating the illusion that I might not suck. But if you watch the channel, you already know better than that. So what do I got to lose? All right, double action. Going for the center. I didn't clean up the target, but we should be able to see it. All right, certainly not going to give me the group that I got with single action, but I'm okay with that. They stayed inside the circle. Good enough by me. So, yep. Yeah, so that really kind of wraps it up, I think, for this video. Like I said, it was going to be a short one. Anyway, just a really special gun to me. I love a Smith & Wesson K-frame revolver. Anyway, 38 Special is not a caliber you hear a lot about anymore. It's not the one people go for as much, but man, I sure do love a 38 Special revolver. And this one, with the whole family history, makes it even more special. So it's been a lot of fun for me. I hope you enjoyed watching. It was a pleasure bringing you along. See you again next time.